Hello, I'm Alex, and I wanted to share with you some ways I've learned to cope with scrupulosity, OCD, puro, and depression. And it's not the normal way I've seen that people decide to deal with it. It's just my experiences, and it's what I've done so where I can feel like I haven't compromised and that I can still be a Christian and love God. So, I'll just go down the list. The first thing I think that is important is that you find out why it's worth living, even if you are lost. And I'm not saying that you are, just saying, like, if you feel lost, you might want to find another reason to live that keeps you going. And so that's what I did. And what I came down to was that. If I can't, I can try and help other people be saved even if I'm not. And if I can't do that because I can't talk about religion because it's a trigger of anxiety, at least I can still help bless other people and heal them just physically and emotionally. Yes, I can help them physically and emotionally by being there for them, being their crying shoulder, or possibly even healing them in other ways. And so another thing is that I live because other people care about me. That's the second thing. And it would make a difference to them whether I'm alive or dead. A third reason I live is because what if God is really merciful and I could be saved if He's as nice as the Bible says and other people think He is? There might be a chance. And if He's not as nice as the Bible says, and not like people say, then why would you want to serve a God who doesn't really care? Obviously, I don't believe that's the God in the Bible. I'm just saying. So maybe if He is that good, you are saved. So those are three reasons right there to help people physically or emotionally or possibly spiritually. As to people care about you, and three, that maybe you are saved because God is nice. And so something else, the second thing that helped me was I got a meaningful hobby or purpose in music, in a band more specifically. I play guitar and write songs, so I can write things that help other people who are feeling really messed up. And so that also adds value to my life and purpose. So find some meaningful hobby or purpose to distract yourself. Third, I realized that being in the world and not of it is very interpretive. You can freak yourself out by thinking about that, all these things that are worldly and sinful, and you won't escape them unless you're a hermit, living all isolated. But really, I've changed my perception about what is okay when I'm living in this world, and it's more broad, what normal people would view as okay and moral. And so, basically, right now I just think if I'm not actually sinning, then I'm gonna be okay with it right now, because if it's worth being subjected to it. Like, if I'm in a gas station and they sell things that I don't agree with, I can still buy gas from there and be around there. I can still be around a place where someone's smoking if I'm doing something I view as important. I can be in a store for fun if they're playing bad music, just because I can't control it. And as long as I'm not sinning, I view fun and other things as good enough reasons to be around there, as long as I'm not actually sinning. Yeah, being in it and of the world, I still get to have fun around this sinful world as long as I'm not doing it. And another thing that actually helped me was I found people who will listen to me, who will support me and be positive to me. They won't tell me, hey, just give up your religion, that's the answer. I wouldn't want to see people who are telling me that. But yeah, people care about me, and I surround myself with them, and I can talk to them, and it feels good to just get things off my chest. Uh, Another thing is I don't read the Bible regularly anymore. That was a nice piece of advice that I got. I really appreciate it, and the person was saying that it would be a good idea because when you get better, then you might remember all the pain that this actually caused you, and you won't like Christianity anymore. So when I was told that advice, I actually happened to lose my Bible at around that same time, and so I didn't really have my own anymore. So that was kind of an interesting occurrence because that didn't ever really happen. And so before with my Bible, even though I carried it around everywhere. And so I think it's important to keep what you can, like praying or Christian music or anything like that. But if you can't, leave it. So keep what you can and leave what you can't. So as far as aspects of Christianity, like praying, readings, church, and music and stuff like that. And so now I'll just go over what helped my pure O experience. Mainly, I would say a really key thing was distraction. I was distracted by people talking to me and by my job. So when people would talk to me, like slowly, I would get numb to not being able to confess right away and not being able to think about whether my thoughts were moral or not, because people would just start talking to me and I didn't exactly ask them to. It was just like blah 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 blah. And it's like, oh no, I can't think of my thoughts. They're so distracting me right now, whether they're sin or not. And so it just got eventually to where I would put off confession because I couldn't do it during discussions or work necessarily, and they were taking the place of my scared paranoia, and the focus on the conversations in my job were taking the place of the paranoia, pretty much, because I was so distracted by this conversation or my work and doing my job good enough. So yeah, just being distracted was very important, and I think that was, yeah, that's pretty much it for there. And right now it got to the point where confession was put off so much to where now it's just so difficult. I used to do it at night, every night, and then it's like now I can't really do it at all, so I just write it down so I can confess it later because it's so difficult. And later, as in when I can actually feel like I can confess again, because it's just too much to deal with. So yeah, writing it down now helps immensely because I can just feel more calmed down now and numb out, desensitize my feelings about caring so much. I just forget about it. It's easier because I'll confess later or whatever. I also think that it's important right now to find out the roots of the problems of why I feel this way. I've done that, and there's basically two categories things fall into. One is it logical and I actually believe it, or two, is it completely false and I know it. If it's false, a false thing that scares me that I know is not true, I can just battle it with looking at some truth that I have written down or keeping it in mind and battling it that way. If it's something logical I believe that frightens me about Christianity, I can actually change my beliefs, because you can actually make the Bible say what you want it to say, and you need to find a religion or like Christianity that actually suits your comfortability. Otherwise you're not going to be happy in life. And so the Christianity is supposed to be logical and not a burden. It's supposed to give you peace. And so a lot of what I think we burden ourselves down with are misunderstandings. So you need to take a look, or at least what I did was I took a look at other alternative beliefs, and that actually helped me see you can make the Bible, read it this way or that way, and more peaceful and actually probably more common way of believing this concept is more comfortable for me, and so I changed my views to you know, live a more comfortable life, because I knew that it made sense to this more comfortable interpretation that I found. And yeah, so it's a slow process rebuilding your understandings, especially if you're raised in a more fearful, strict conservative community of Christians, like I feel like I was around, which helped grow my fear and such, as far as associations with religion. And yep, so that's what I do with the root of my problems. I don't know what your roots are, but I figured out what mine were, and they had to do with salvation and confession. And I had to look into more alternative beliefs about that. So anyways, I had to stop worrying about knowing all the boundaries and forget them, and just stick to the obvious things about good living that a majority of Christians believe. And because I was not in the right mind to reason, so that's how I dealt with some things at the point when I felt comfortable doing that. I also think another point that is helpful and good to consider is actually seeing a psychiatrist or psychologist. You might be able to get medication, because perhaps this is not just a mental problem or of understanding, but actually like a chemical thing too. And so if you have both things fighting against you, you can actually get medication maybe to lessen the anxiety, so you can have a more straight head on your shoulders and actually battle out this error and scary stuff in your mind. Yeah, I'm just saying it might help. So yeah, I think it's another important thing is also, if you actually want and to get help and believe you can, and you're actually proactive about searching out, I think that's also very important, because if you don't believe yourself, you just believe you really are a failure, that's only going to lead you to two options, atheism or killing yourself, pretty much. So I think it's better and healthier to think, hey, I can actually overcome this, and actually try to overcome it in whatever way possible. Exhaust your options, because it's better to die of fighting. And I think it's important also to do fun things you care about, and even better with people you care about, because at least you're distracting and surviving half alive, doing something more fun instead of lying in your bed wishing you were not even there, wishing your thoughts would end. Yeah, so it's a better way to just survive and make it through, a more positive way to retrain your mind to be associated with normal life. And I think it's important also, what helped me was listening to actually encouraging music, such as Paramore, and I could list some songs from them, such as Last Hope, Hello Cold World, if that's what the title is, Let the Flames Begin, Miracle, and Daydreaming maybe, I don't know. Anyways, things like that. They are positive secular music, so if Christianity triggers your fears, those are actually more secular, to where you can still get positive messages out of it to keep fighting and listen to music and sing your heart out and believe it, and things like that. So then that's all what got me to here where I am now. And then recently I also wrote down my core root of my problems, like I was saying earlier, and I came down to things like having pessimistic thoughts was one of them. That's kind of deals with depression too. And let me see here. Trusting in my feelings, and misunderstanding confession and salvation. And then when I was confused about when something was a temptation and a sin, and inaccurate words and interrupting caused me to apologize a lot, even when I didn't really need to. So I came up with solutions to them because I was in a logical thinking mind, and sometimes I win the battles enforcing the solutions, and sometimes I lose them. But the more winning times I get, the more I'm reinforcing good in my brain and retraining myself. And just for instance, like some solutions I said for, like, for instance, pessimistic thoughts. I was saying for a solution, I can just turn off my feelings and think logically and insensitively about what I'm thinking about. Like, hey, I'm completely worthless, like something like that. I have no meaning in life. Instead, I can combat it like, hey, wait a second here. I do have meaning in life. I can help others feel better because I have friends that are tons of people that could actually need me, that I could be there for, and I can get a career where I can help people out or something like that. I'm not totally useless. I can contribute music to make people happier. So anyways, shutting off my feelings and thinking insensitively instead of thinking with my feelings. So turning off the feelings. Then also focus on the solutions instead of problems. Instead of thinking I'm ugly, I can think, hey, you know what can I do to make myself look better, or just deal with it, learn to accept it, and to avoid unhealthy things. If you can't really fix the problem, just learn to accept it and love it and deal with it or whatever. Otherwise, focus on the solutions. So those are the two things: shutting off my feelings and focusing on solutions for a pessimistic thought problem. And also trusting in feelings of sin, whether they were sin or not. One of the solutions for that I said was, is it an obvious Bible thing? Because if it's not an obvious Bible thing, I'm technically ignorant, and God winks at ignorance. That's actually a Bible verse where it talks about in times of ignorance, God winks. And if I don't know it completely is an obvious Bible thing, I can just count myself ignorant, shut it out, and desensitize myself to going off of my feelings of sin, and just reinforce the logicality of, hey, is this actually a biblical thing, or am I making up rules like a Pharisee? A problem is that I wrote down too is also confession and salvation misunderstandings. So I found some truth, a quote that I actually thought was better and a good answer to that, and so I wrote it down. And it was pretty much like saying about sin, it is not merely a wrong act, but a way of being. I can repent of my love of lying and forsake it without ever having repented of every little lie I have ever told. Likewise, I can repent of my love of lust without having to call to mind every instance in which I have lusted. God is not interested in plucking the fruit or individual sins of the tree of sin. He wants to uproot the tree, sin as a way of being. So that was something I found really meaningful to me. I wrote it down so I can read it later if I have problems with feeling sin or not as well. Another thing was I couldn't discern between temptation and sin, so I wrote down something to help me understand this concept. Did I intentionally keep trying in happiness to embrace the thought once I noticed I could stop? Or did I dislike this thought and desire it to go? If I disliked it and desired the thought to go away, then it was just a temptation. That's all honest truth. I realized that in my logical thinking, and so hopefully I can reinforce this thought by reading it later. If I have trouble discerning between sin and temptation. And as far as my interrupting and inaccurate words, guilty feelings, I can just actually realize these are not sins is what my solution was. And that I'm not, the sin, it's only sin when you're intentionally trying to deceive people. Nowhere in the Bible is it a sin, say it's a sin to have inaccurate words or to interrupt people, because most people don't honestly care. It's just an accident. So yeah, those were just some of the root problems I came to, and then I wrote the solutions down when I was in the right state of mind, and I don't think I could have done that earlier. It's just after I've done a lot of the earlier steps to coping and recovering that I can't come to this logical thinking point where I can reason out the roots of my problems and try and correct them with positive training and desensitizing. And none of these solutions where I felt were compromising. None of them made me actually sin over and over again and not confess it. You know, I just can't do that, man. So anyways, those are my ideas for solutions. I hope it can help you out. And I would love to be your friend. You can add me on Facebook or something that's more reliable way of contacting me. I'm Alex Bridwell. So, have a good one.